सभा के उपस्थित और मतदान देने वाले सदस्यों के कम से कम 2/3 बहुमत द्वारा पारित हुआ। अब सभा विधेयक पर खंडवार विचार करेगी। श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 4, 5, 6 और 7 प्रस्तुत कर रहे हैं?
सर, 1 minute. Sir, I have given notice of amendments to clause 2, clause 3 and clause 4. Almost all the amendments are one and the same. So I may be given 2 minutes to just to elucidate what is the scope of my amendment. Sir, the amendment is in almost all the clauses, as nearly as may be 1/3 of the seats reserved for the scheduled caste, as nearly as may be 1/3 of the total number of seats to be filled and that by direct election. So my amendment is delete as nearly as may be, and my amendment and the operating portion shall be 1/3 of the total number of seats shall be filled by direct election. So shall be has to be incorporated, as nearly as may be omitted. Otherwise it will be creating utter confusion. Government is having the government is having the discretion to do at any time. As early as may be deleted, and it should be a mandatory provision that 1/3 of the seats should be reserved for the women who are entitled for getting reservation. This is my amendment. Kindly, sir, it is a harmless amendment. It can be accepted.
गृहमंत्री जी,
इसमें किसी भी सदस्य को संशय करने की जरूरत नहीं है। नियरली शब्द प्रयोग केवल और केवल जहां 1/3 का भागाकार नहीं होता है वो संख्या के लिए रखा गया है, और ये भी डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन तय करेगी, गवर्नमेंट नहीं तय करेगी। तो कृपया आपका संशोधन आप वापस ले, ऐसा मेरा निवेदन।
Subject to that clarification, I am withdrawing the amendment.
Okay. असाउद्दीन ओवैसी जी, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 37 प्रस्तुत करेंगे?
सर,
आप खड़े हो जाओ, चालू हो जाएगा माइक।
Sir, I am moving my amendment, sir, and I am asking for a division on it, sir.
आपके पक्ष में कोई नहीं है। अल्लाह। ओके। प्रश्न ये कि संशोधन संख्या 37 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो इसके पक्ष में हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय ना वालों के पक्ष में, ना वालों के पक्ष। संशोधन 37 लोबियां पहले से खाली। अब खंड 2 को सभा के मतदान के लिए रखता हूं। प्रश्न है कि खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बने। अब मत विभाजन।
Right now, amendments being asked for, but interesting. Has the bill been cleared as of now? Not quite. But yes, on the journey to be cleared. Polumi, has the bill been cleared by the Lok Sabha?
No, as of now, what we're watching is basically amendments are being moved by individual MPs. For instance, just right now, Asaduddin Owaisi has stood up and he's moved an amendment and he sought a division. So he doesn't want a voice vote. He wants to see actual numbers in favor and against of his amendment that he's moved. Remember, in his speech, he raised 2 points. One was about why no OBC quota and why no quota for Muslim women. So I suspect that his amendments are concerning the same.
Let's dip in once again to the Nat South.
का अंग बने। अब मत विभाजन हो गया क्लियर?
Once again, the bill in all probability will clear Lok Sabha, but right now you have members moving amendments. The bill hasn't yet been cleared. But having said that, it's on the way to be cleared. In all probabilities is what we have been given to understand. It's members from the opposition benches getting up and moving amendments right now. Moshmi, what's the latest that we are picking up?
So clearly right now we just saw that Asaduddin Owaisi had moved an amendment, and right now yet again another amendment is being moved. So we'll have to wait and see, Preeti. There'll be several members who would want to add something to the bill, who would want to protest against some provision, and that's why these amendments are put to vote. Members can press for a division on those particular amendments, and after the amendments are done, after that the entire bill is put for voting. So the lobbies have been cleared. The speaker just clarified that the lobbies are clear, and the amendments are being moved right now. So we will have to wait. I think this will take a while, and then the final voting on the bill will happen.
All right, viewers, I want to once again, you might be seeing multiple screens, and a lot of people might be breaking the news that the bill has cleared the Lok Sabha. It hasn't happened yet. It will happen in all probability is what we have been given to understand. But right now, parliamentary procedure being followed. There is a right where the opposition MPs can get up and move amendments. That is what we are witnessing on the floor of the House. But it will take a while, and ultimately we will come down to like Polumi also just pointed out, and we heard Asaduddin Owaisi from the AIMIM. He's asked for a division of votes as well. It will take a while where the real numbers actually filter in. Polumi, the numbers that we are seeing right now in terms of 454 against 2 is... Where are these numbers coming from?
These are divisions. Basically, what's happening is members are moving amendments. What we watched just a short while ago.
Who's supporting them, who's not supporting them?
Basically, they're wanting their own amendments to the bill. You can move individual amendments saying, I would want this added to the bill. I support you, but I want this added to the bill. You move for that amendment, and then there's a vote on that amendment. Asad Owaisi, he always seeks for a division. It's nothing new what he's just done. For instance, he was one of the last ones to stand up from the opposition benches right now that we just saw. There could be more. Asad Owaisi stood up and he sought for a division on the vote on the amendment that he was seeking to add to the bill that has been brought forth by the government. And you're seeing that division, those numbers that are trickling in right now in terms of that division.
So each amendment that will be moved by an opposition MP, viewers, what you're witnessing is a vote count on that particular amendment, a division of whether the House supports that amendment or not. When do we see, Moshmi, the actual numbers come in?
So after the amendments are moved and whether they are adopted or not, of course, if there is a majority, then they would be adopted. Here, the Lok Sabha, the opposition strength is minuscule, Preeti. So unlikely that those amendments, if moved by the opposition, would be adopted. After that, the bill will be put to vote, and this is a division of votes. So you would know which member voted for the bill and which member voted against the bill. And it's a constitutional amendment. So a constitutional amendment per se, as per rule, is always put through division, because you need a majority of the House to be present, and when the House, and then a majority in that entire totality, a majority of numbers for the bill to be adopted and the constitutional amendment to be adopted. It also helps in seeing, like, if you have a voice vote, for example, and in that pandemonium, you don't know which MPs have walked out or haven't voted, but it's not in the division of votes, and this is happening with chits. So you'll clearly know that how many MPs were present and how many voted for or against.
All right. Once again, our viewers who are just joining us, what you are seeing across other television screen, no, the bill hasn't cleared the floor of the Lok Sabha. It hasn't been passed in the Lok Sabha just yet. Will it be passed? In all probability. Will you see history being scripted? Yes, today. But right now, what you're witnessing is parliament procedure when a bill is tabled and there is when it's put to vote. That is what you're witnessing. And the numbers that are filtering in right now are the numbers on what each of the MPs is proposing as an amendment and what the House number strength is in terms of whether they support or disagree with that amendment. Paulami, Boshmi, you have more
I
news?
just had a point to add because I was talking about division of votes. Now, generally, it is very rare that, you know, the members call for a division of votes. In the 2014 to 2019 Lok Sabha Parliament, we saw 108 occasions where the division was called, and mostly it was for constitutional amendments. So this will also be a landmark of sorts, Preeti, where, you know, through the division of vote, like a landmark amendment like Triple Talaq, the Land Acquisition Act, these are amendments that are where division is pressed for. And this will also be very historic because it will go down in the annals of history that for or against who stood for women's reservation or not.
Well, you're right there. You know, whatever one might say, we are standing on the cusp of history, very ready to take that leap and cross over that threshold. But right now, we just need to hold our horses a bit, and we are going to report to you what's exactly going down. And Paulami, right now, that's what the latest that is coming in. The bill as a whole is only going to come up later.
Right. Amendments are being moved at the moment. Division is being, what you're watching on your screens, if we've got a split screen on right now, is division that's happening right now on an amendment which has been put to vote at the moment. Each individual MP who chooses to move for an amendment can also choose to say that I'm not satisfied with the voice vote. I want a division. I actually want to see the numbers. I don't understand with the eyes and the nose and the complete show that happens, the noise that happens. I want to see numbers, how many are with me, how many are against me. And you have to then put each little amendment, however many times it takes. Sometimes this process has taken close to about 2 to 3 hours. It can go on. I can demand for a division, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now. The silence in the House is because the division has been sought for, and that is happening right now. Voting is happening. The bill is yet to be put to vote by Arjun Ram Meghwal as a whole. So we'll have to wait for that.
All right, let's underline that with what we just said. The bill as a whole, which is the Women Reservation Bill, the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam Bill, is yet to be voted for on the floor of the House. What you're witnessing is what Paulami just explained in detail. So we're going to stick with that. The bill yet hasn't cleared the Lok Sabha, but once again, you know, we can't emphasize enough the moment that we stand on in terms of women empowerment. Now, the implications of that will be long and protracted, definitely. But this is after decades, viewers, that we're going to see. It's landmark. It's historic. That we're going to see the Women Reservation Bill clear the Lok Sabha, the lower house. But and from then, tomorrow, it's going to be tabled. The discussion will be there in Rajya Sabha, and then it will be put to vote by the end of the evening in Rajya Sabha as well. So what we are looking at is historic, that in the next 2 days, the bill will clear both houses. It will become a law, but the implication of that in terms of implementation is long and protracted. And that was something that was put up by various members of the House through the course of the 7.5-hour discussion that we heard, which is, and many of them, in fact, did get up and say, do it now. Why wait for a census? Because only then a delimitation follows. And as per the bill, as per the clauses of the bill, it can only be put in place after the delimitation exercise is conducted. And when you look at that as a whole, if Jammu and Kashmir delimitation has taken a little over 2 years, one can well imagine how long will it take for delimitation across the country, especially where there will be states which are not in favor of delimitation. So you're looking at battles that would be fought in court as well. So how quickly can we see the implementation of the bill? Sadly, not anytime soon. If it even happens by 2029, many would suggest that's a big deal because in all probability it might not even happen then. However, there's word coming in that the government might also try and expedite, Paulami, the census and the delimitation.
Well, that is unlikely to happen. It will happen at the time that it is expected to happen, which is around 2026, which is the process of census. And then, of course, on the basis of the census, there will be a delimitation exercise. Of course, we'd heard that the delimitation exercise could happen in a year's time, in 2027. But if the report, the presentation of that report on the basis of the census which is conducted takes some amount of time. Imagine that the delimitation exercise in itself could start much later. Then, of course, the delimitation exercise, which on an average takes about 3 to 4 years at least before you come to a conclusion. The Delimitation Commission will, of course, go into the brass tacks of then deciding on the basis of population how many seats are to be reserved where, etc., which state, which union territory, all of that. So it's going to be a long process before this actually happens. So it's not going to happen very soon. This is something that Amit Shah responded to as well when he was in fact speaking during this discussion. He said that if it was up to us, we'd just be allocating seats. But he took a pot shot at, of course, Rahul Gandhi and said, well, do you want us to just reserve Wayanad? In that case, is that up to us? Should we just go about doing it, or is it the Delimitation Commission's job? So there is a process to it, and it will happen as per that process.
Well, it will happen as per that process. Definitely not anytime soon is what we are looking at. But Moshmi, I'd bring you in because in midst of all of that, there's been a lot of politics that we've seen. And also, we are coming to the fact, because it requires a constitutional amendment, this bill, 2/3 of both houses need to vote in favor. And not just that, imagine it will now need to go to each state assemblies of the country, and 50% of that state assembly would need to be in favor of this bill. So one can very well understand how, yes, we've achieved a lot.
It's not a part of this.
It's not a part of this?
No.
Okay.
As soon as it passes through both houses, it gets the President's assent, it is an act.
It is an act. Okay,
Yes.
So it doesn't need to go into states?
No. This is a part of a different article of the Constitution. Right. You need a special majority in this case, which basically, like I said, is 2/3 majority of those present in the House and voting, plus half of the strength of that House.
Of that House. Okay.
So that's about it. That's all that you need.
All right. Okay.
454, 454, 454, ना 2-2। प्रस्ताव सभा की कुल सदस्य संख्या के बहुमत द्वारा तथा सभा में उपस्थित और मत देने वाले सदस्यों के कम से कम 2/3 बहुमत द्वारा पारित हुआ। अब खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बना। श्री आलोक कुमार सुमन, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 8 प्रस्तुत करेंगे? श्री N.K. प्रेमचंद्रन, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 9, 10, 11 और 12 प्रस्तुत करेंगे?
Not moving.
प्रोफेसर स्वागत राय, एम आरिफ, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 33 प्रस्तुत करेंगे? नॉट मूविंग। श्री असाउद्दीन ओवैसी जी, क्या संशोधन संख्या 38 प्रस्तुत करेंगे?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm moving the amendment, and I request you to for division, sir, because this is very important for seat.
प्रश्न ये कि संशोधन संख्या 38 स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य के विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय ना वालों के पक्ष में संशोधन संख्या 38 अस्वीकृत हुआ। श्री E.T. मोहम्मद बशीर जी, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 39 प्रस्तुत कर रहे हैं? नो। I.B. ईडन जी, क्या आप संशोधन संख्या 41 प्रस्तुत कर रहे हैं? नो।
सर एक सेकंड के लिए सर, इट्स अ वेरी गुड सजेशन बाय 1/10 ऑफ द टोटल नंबर।
लाबिया पहले से खाली है। अब मैं खंड 3 को सभा के मतदान के रखता हूं। प्रश्न ये, खंड 3 विधेयक का अंग बने। अब मत विभाजन।
All right, what you're witnessing right now is the Speaker, Om Birla, going one by one through the various clauses of the amendments that are also being raised. We're going to continue to give you the figures that come at the end of it. But viewers, once again, let's make it clear that we're still waiting for the bill as a whole in terms of to be voted on and to hear the numbers on that. But, something which most of our viewers might not be attuned to or understand is what is this, census. Yes, we understand what a census possibly means. The last census took place in the year 2011. But what is a delimitation exercise? Well, to put it simply, and I'll bring in both my colleagues, Moshmi and Polumi in it. It's basically, to put it in simple words, redrawing the Lok Sabha and the state assembly boundaries on the basis of restructuring of the population in that area. So that would technically mean equal representation where the people are concerned. So redrawing the boundaries in that sense. And Polumi, to add to that, to simplify the entire delimitation exercise, it can only take place after a census is done.
Absolutely. It can only take place after a census is done. When you've got a sense of the population of a particular state and a UT, you've got a sense of the number of SCs and STs. Remember, as far as reservation is concerned, we have the general category. At the moment, of course, we have the SC category, SC reserved seats, and we have ST reserved seats. So you have to get a sense of the population of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in these very states as well. So the census will do a sort of monitoring of the same as well and get you a number. So on the basis of that, when the census tells you, okay, this is the population size, these are the number of SCs, STs, then of course you do the delimitation exercise of redrawing boundaries.
All right. So that is redrawing of both Lok Sabha and state assembly boundaries. But with that, we're going to go into a quick break. Once again, viewers, standing on the cusp of history, yet not crossed the threshold.